Welcome back. We are here at the ORU Capital Markets trading floor, and what we want to talk about now is how is Wall Street reacting and what do business leaders want to see from this administration's policy on tariffs? Mr. Crow, what do you think?
Well, I think the biggest impact by far on the stock markets, the capital markets, is simply the uncertainty. I think, the fact that they do not know and cannot predict exactly what earnings are going to be like, exactly what the impact of these tariffs, potential tariffs are, and can't predict the timetable of them, the time length of them, has created immense volatility.
Yeah.
There's clearly impact on the consumers, and this is a consumer-driven economy, which means there's going to be clear impact on the businesses, but the businesses have uncertainty. Our businesses are also incredibly linked. Their supply chain is linked all over the United States. We saw that immensely during COVID, and that parts come from all over, and you may think that you buy from one location because that's where your invoice comes from, or maybe that's where it ships from, and you go call them and find out, well, wait a minute, they got 8 parts coming from 7 different countries. And so to calculate the ramifications of that on your financial statements is incredibly hard. Well, how's an analyst? How's an analyst that's predicting what the returns are going to be from any company going to produce it? They cannot calculate it.
Yeah, those are great points. When you look at the iPhone, the glass on the iPhone, it comes from 26 different countries.
Yeah.
And the mini chip on the iPhone comes from 20 different countries.
Yeah.
And so you just think of the complexity that you're dealing with when you look at your supply chain.
Yeah, and I think that companies in general are doing a hold and see strategy right now. Yeah, right. They're holding on to their revenues from previous years. They're letting everything sit in retained earnings. If they have to pay out dividends, yes, they're paying out dividends because that's their policy that they need to pay out dividends. But what they're investing in right now is very, very minuscule. They're trying to tighten up their payrolls. Right. They're laying off people. They're duplicating. They're removing duplicity from any positions. So they're holding and seeing what is going on and not necessarily doing any expansion. And if you're not expanding as a company, then what is happening to the economy? It's going to eventually start shrinking, because if people are laid off and they don't have a paycheck to spend, if they don't have a paycheck to spend, they're not buying. And if they're not buying, what is happening? So the whole ripple effect of it. So businesses in general are just holding on to see what is happening.
Because of the uncertainty.
Because of the uncertainty. Yeah. So because they're unsure. They're holding on because they're unsure. Not because they're not making money. Some of them are still making money, but they're unsure as to what things are going to look like. And then Jerome Powell, they met last week, and the decision is we're going to hold short-term interest rates still at the same level because of there's still inflation and there's still uncertainty. So I think it's the uncertainty that is driving a lot of what is going on in the economy. I mean, the only person that knows the future is Jesus. So uncertainty is a natural course of business. But I think that's the main thing that's driving business decisions right now, is that we do not know. And usually you could predict and say this is going to happen if the business cycle is operating in a certain way. Right. And the predictability has been removed. And that began within COVID-19. And coming out of COVID-19, when you're talking about supply chain, is that companies, even though they've regionalized their supply chain to get their raw material, a lot of it, and they're reducing their travel costs and shipping costs, there's still so much involved in getting that raw material, the final product to the consumers, that companies are just holding on for dear life. They're just not doing anything right now.
And I think obviously that speaks to a strategic perspective as well, right? So at a strategy level, we're holding because we don't want to invest in something that may not work as well. Yeah. At the same time, at the tactical level, though, I think there are things that are happening. You know, in the social media space, right?
Yes.
Where we have a lot of this intermediary facilitated purchases, which are really growing. And even through this, they're growing more because now there is a push. Well, now the tariffs are in place, so let's get the product before it gets more expensive.
Yes.
So
yes,
a lot of market, those social media driven markets are pushing that. Like let's get this product sold. And consumers are buying into that.
Yeah.
So, I really want that before
Yeah.
the tariff expense hits in.
Yeah.
So I think, again, there are opportunities right now at the tactical level that some businesses are taking advantage of. And of course, it's going to vary by industry.
Yes.
But
yes.
overall, how does that trickle up all the way to the stock level, right? And the
Yes.
market, that's very different. So I agree with that uncertainty
Yep.
being the driver there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's one of the things that we emphasize in the classroom. With our students, we say, look for those opportunities. And
Yes.
realizing that during the Great Depression, some of our greatest companies were
Yes.
founded during the Great Depression.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That is
So they
true.
took advantage of those opportunities. And that's what we're trying to instill in our students
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
there's always opportunities out there. You just have to be looking for them.
Yes, I mean, I have 22 seniors that graduate with the finance majors, and some of them, I need to find a job. What is going on? What is the best company should I
Yeah.
choose? And he's like, if a company has cash flow and want to have access to cash, which one do you want? You need cash flow
Yeah.
because you need cash to write the payroll, not an access to a line of credit. So even as a business, you give them the tools that they need to be successful, and then once they have the tools, then they'll be okay.
I remember I was in a conversation. This is a Fortune 500 company. I was in a conversation with the CEO, and I asked him about the stock, for the company because this was a high growth company, and the stock had been sort of fluctuating, sort of up and down, and I was employed, and this was really more a commemoration thing of some projects we had accomplished, and so I was talking with him, and he said, I asked him, what do you think about the stock? There's some fluctuation going on in there. And he said, to be honest, I'm not necessarily driven right now by the stocks because of, there is some uncertainty. Back at that time, there was uncertainty as well. But we're just pushing forward our strategy, and we'll continue with that. And so over time, it's been about 10 years since that happened, and I've seen that stock value continue to increase and the strategy continue to pay off. So sometimes you got to stick to your strategy as well.
Exactly.
Well, if you're an individual company looking at that, I agree because it's always relative. Just the fact that me going down, if everybody else is going down the same amount,
Exactly.
you're fine. Your company's fine.
Yeah.
If you're going down worse, then why?
Yeah, yeah.
What's going on? Do I
Yeah.
understand?
Yep.
So I understand that from a company standpoint,
Yeah.
their strategy is going to remain the same. But they can also find strategic ways to grow, just like you're
Yes.
talking about,
Yes.
or to increase your value
Yeah.
at that same time.
Are there any opportunities right now that companies can take advantage of during this sort of down market?
If you're a company in the country right now, a smaller, may have been competing against international products coming in, boy, it's a great time.
Great
I
time.
think so
Yeah,
too.
because the
Yeah.
price of that product coming in, well, it's, depending on when it arrives here at that higher tariff level, you have a great chance. You now have a price advantage because of the tax that's been added against your competition. It provides a great opportunity for your business. So finding those businesses is an excellent chance right now.
Wow, these have been some great thoughts. If you were going to leave us with some key takeaways, what would they be?
We're in a lot of uncertainty right now, a lot of chaos, both domestically, and with the tariffs. It seemingly puts anxiety on individuals, but we know who's in charge. We have faith, we believe. At ORU, we help teach the students that and how to believe and how to have confidence in that. We'll be just fine.
This has been a great discussion. What I'm taking away from it is that we are in a time of uncertainty, and we're aware of that. But overall, if we look at the history of the market, the history of business here in the United States, we have been prosperous over the years, recognizing there is fluctuation in the markets over time. But we prepare for those fluctuations, knowing that they're going to occur. And again, these are the type of things that we like to teach our students, so that they too can be great business professionals as well as great investors.
Yeah. I am just grateful for the discussion that we've had, and I'm confident that as Oral Roberts University, we're raising up whole leaders for the whole world who are ready to conquer the world. We just have a massive graduation, over 1,000, and we know we have individuals from the College of Business and from all other colleges who are ready to tackle what's going on with every global issues, but also they have confidence knowing that they have the Holy Spirit to help them to guide those decisions. And because we know that they're prepared, then we're not worried about anything. Our trust and our hope rests in our relationship with God, and that's going to be okay.
Amen. Those are some really great thoughts. I think that the Lord opens up our eyes to see needs, so that He can help us connect with the provision that He has for us. And so as we are seeing needs in the market, those are opportunities for us to receive His provision. So I think that having the confidence to go forward is something that I take from this conversation.
Wow, that was a great discussion. Thank you to these distinguished panelists. If you would like to learn more about ORU and learn from these great professors, go to our website. Thank you for joining us for the Faculty Exchange.